Bonjour tout le monde. Nous avons deux verbes à discuter aujourd'hui. Il y a deux verbes en anglais. Il veut dire to know. On va commencer, ok? Voilà, savoir. On utilise savoir beaucoup. Je sais, tu sais, il sait, nous savons, vous savez, ils savent. Et connaître, je connais, tu connais, il connaît. Nous connaissons, vous connaissez, ils connaissent. Ça. They're scary. Ha ha ha. Yes, I'm going to speak some English. All right, think about what kind of things do you know? All right, maybe you know dates, you know times, you know people, you know songs, you know places. All right, in French, what we have to remember, there are two different words that mean to know. It all depends on what you know. You know? Yeah, it's okay to giggle right now. Oh, we divide them up in French. The difference between knowing facts, knowing how to do something. Oh, and we're done. Okay, let's talk about the verb savoir. First thing you want to do is write down the conjugation on your irregular verb chart. It goes like this. Je sais, tu sais, il sait. All sound the same. Notice we go S, S, T. Je sais, you have been using je ne sais pas, I do not know, for a little while. So that should be familiar to you. The new form, nous savons, vous savez, ils savent. And it's okay to repeat these words to yourself as you watch the video. I promise your pronunciation won't get any worse. So that's our verb savoir. The second verb to know is connaître. Watch out for your little circumflex. You're going to see it here and in one other form. Je connais, tu connais, il connaît. Once again, they all sound the same, but the il form is spelled slightly differently. And notice here the il form is where the circumflex comes in. Nous connaissons, vous connaissez, ils connaissent. So the only form that uses the circumflex is connaît. Something that might help you remember this is that a lot of times the circumflex means that there used to be an S afterwards in the, way back in the day. And if you notice, all of the forms are followed by an S except for the infinitive and the il form. So that's why we need the circumflex. All right, so let's talk about savoir and when we use savoir. By the way, there are two different verbs to know in Spanish too, so you're not alone in your suffering. Savoir is for factual information. For example, je sais la date de ton anniversaire. Your birthday is a fact. So je sais, I know it. Sometimes it'll be followed by que, meaning that. Je sais que vous êtes riche. I know that you are rich. Thanks for sharing. Not. How to do something. If you know how to swim, how to speak, how to do jumping jacks, okay? These are all going to be using savoir, and it'll be in the infinitive form. So, nous savons parler français. We know how to speak French. And notice how we use the infinitive here, which makes sense because we know how to speak French. So it'll be followed by an infinitive. All right, let's talk about connaître. Connaître is used with any kind of people or places. Je connais ta sœur. I know your sister. It can also mean to be familiar with, and this would be with, for example, works of art, with books, with films, with music, lyrics, things like that. You're familiar with them. Je connais Picasso, okay? I know, I'm familiar with Picasso's works. I have to tell you, though, when I was in France, and I was asked by my host mother, tu connais Chine? Do you know China? I thought she was like, are you familiar with it? I'm like, sure, it's that big country over in Asia. But apparently, she was asking me, have you ever been there? So I guess you got to be a little careful with connaître and places. But so tu connais Monet? Are you familiar with Monet? Are you familiar with his work? Okay, in this case, it doesn't mean, hey, are you BFF with Monet? But do you sort of know who he is and what he does? All right, now we got to watch out in the passé composé because these meanings are going to change slightly. And we're going to learn a new tense called the imparfait, where actually we're going to usually find these verbs, but they do occur in the passé composé. First of all, the past participle of savoir is su. And what it means is it changes the meaning slightly. Instead of to know, it means to find out. So, hier soir, j'ai su son nom. Last night, I found out her name. So, basically, think about passé composé as a completed action. So, I didn't know her name. Now I know her name. So, that's why we need the passé composé. And that changes that meaning of to know slightly. Now, the past participle of connaître is connu. And it means to meet somebody for the first time. So, je l'ai connu à la boum. I met him at the party. So, once again, think about an action. I didn't know them, now I know them. What happened? I met them. So that's how the meanings changed a little bit. Alright, no, just kidding. You don't have any devoir. Here's your devoir, here's your assignment. I want you to think of and write down 3 sentences of 3 things that you know. Or, if you want to say you don't know, write these down. So write down 3 sentences of things you either know or you don't know. And we will check them out demain. Ciao mes amis, à demain.